Alright, these are some of my favorite movies of all time. You probably can't see them, but most of these movies, at one time or another in my life, changed my perception on the way movies are made and the way I even felt as a person. Inception.
Next movie.
New Hope. I grew up with the most perfect pure adventure story that
Definitely don't have to say any more about that.
can be Sling Blade, how you can make such an emotional story on such a small budget, so on and so forth.
These are the Dark Knight and Batman Begins. We're not going to be talking about these.
Or like 500 Days of Summer, they're right there at the bottom above Dragon Ball Z! 500 Days of Summer stuck with me for a very long time after I was done watching it because of the uniqueness to it. I'm never one for a romantic comedy, but the fact that it was so original and the characters were so different.
Let's put it like this. Sucker Punch will stick with you like a swallowed piece of gum. It will stay in your digestive system for years, but you won't like it. You'll think back on it and remember that you swallowed it.
It's one of those movies...
It's not going to stick with you like a hearty meal.
It's not. It's one of those movies where you don't ponder it. You just remember it. It's one of those movies you have to constantly be watching in order to enjoy it.
Or appreciate it.
Yeah, because like Transformers, I like Transformers, okay? By no means do I think it's great, and I understand if people hate it. In fact, I think they're smarter than me for hating it. But the thing about Transformers is it doesn't try too hard like the sequel does, in the sense that there's not all these plot twists and plot holes. It doesn't have nearly the amount of offensive humor that it does. It's just robots fighting. Granted, it probably could have easily and should have had more robots fighting, but Transformers is one of those movies where I think about it and I'm thinking, oh snap, that was cool. I want to watch Transformers, but I shouldn't. And I can't watch Transformers. It's 2.5 hours long. I could watch something like The Dark Knight or Inception that actually, I get something from that, and I remember it after watching it.
Oh, I remember. This is my own problem. Okay,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to go on a quick little tangent.
Ladies and gentlemen, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, on a personal note, I find the film's structure to be very important. The rhythm of the film, per se. Films like Pulp Fiction tell the story out of order, but still tell it with a perfect flow. A film like Sucker Punch specifically sets itself up to have 4 acts, where they're going to go in and get these specific items. Now, they tease you with 3 incredible action sequences. And once you get to the 3rd, you're expecting a 4th, much bigger, much more exciting thrill. But you don't. It ends. Right there. It ends with an attempt at a twist that really just doesn't work that well. It structured itself in such a way that when you didn't get to this 4th sequence, it was just kind of underwhelming.
I'm back!
He's back!
I'm back!
He's back!
Movie magic, ladies and gentlemen.
He's back!
Using your statement as something of a springboard.
Spring.
Granted, I wasn't paying attention to anything you were saying, but yeah, it's like you have, as he said, like you have the 4 action sequences where they're getting the items, and when you are a movie that is an action movie, you need that one final kapow. That's what
you're
really,
not expecting it to be the last bazang.
That's the one thing I like about The Matrix Revolution. Even though, give or take whether or not it's a good fight scene, you have a final kapow, let's blow up the world fight scene. Sucker Punch needed that. They needed a moment where we're done. This is the last action sequence. This is the a climax. It needs a climax.
It had a 3rd really badass action sequence, but you didn't quite buy it as the climax at that point because you knew they could always take it a step further.
Yes,
and you were counting on them to because there were 2 more items they had to get. One you could kind of count on because they were kind of like, you know, you don't know what the last item is. But there was that one that they had to go after.
Story structure needs, you need a beginning, middle, and end. Basic story.
It was foreshadowing into these sequences.
Yeah, and when you don't have a climax, and in an action movie, the form of a climax is an action sequence, you really rip the rug out from your audience. And when you don't do that, you are... Shame.
Shame.
But I think we're being a little too hard on this. I mean, I did every moment I was sitting, every minute that my butt was in that seat, I was enjoying myself. It's either, wow, look at that, awesome action. Whoa, look at that explosion of fire, swords. Whoa, look, Emily Browning in a miniskirt.
Hottie.
But there's, you said it. Hold on, soapbox for a second. I hate it when, no, you don't need to leave, you don't need to leave, you don't need to leave, this is quick.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely hate it when people who are not as sophisticated as myself when it comes to reviewing movies will make the statement about a film that it
Could have been better.
could have been better. I hate that statement because basically that is somebody knowing that the movie should have been better or isn't very good, but not knowing how to express that. Me, on the other hand, I'm a freaking genius, so of course I can point out what I don't like about it. We've just spent, 15 minutes talking about,
Why we didn't like it.
yeah, and he here, on the way back home, described what the proper term is. The proper term is not that it could have been better, the proper term is missed opportunities. Which is true because this is a spectacular action film, but like I said with Transformers, it's a film you need to actually be watching, constantly filtering through your brain in order to enjoy it. You take away nothing from it, but it has hints at a structure that could be captivating, mesmerizing, and memorable.
Okay. Take Michael Bay's action films, which are like one-night stand sex. They're instantly gratifying, okay? But then take Steven Spielberg's films, like Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park, which are like relationships and marriage, okay? Those stick with you. Those are great films. You care about the characters, you care about their goals, and you care when they're in danger, and that sticks with you. Michael Bay's movies are gone like that. This movie is so close
To being a very incredibly memorable.
being that memorable area. Michael Bay movies will never ever get there because he's an idiot.
He's good at throwing explosions on screen. Congratulations! Any director who has money can do that, but Zack Snyder...
I did that when I was 10 and I didn't even need millions of dollars.
Zack Snyder is better than that. He can tell a good story. He's good at choreographing and orchestrating visuals on screen, but he doesn't play to the story enough.
If you had those characters, which this film does not, if you had those rules, if you had that structure, it would have been so much more exciting to either see them succeed or, to the excitement of watching them trying to succeed.
Watching them fight is fun, but
Putting the situation together in your head while it's happening, they reach a roadblock and you're like, oh, they're gonna have to do this.
whether they...
Never happens.
In a movie, you know whether or not they're going to win or succeed. Chances are they're going to win, they're going to survive everything. But it's still nice to care about the characters because if they're just fighting, it's fun. But if you have a connection to what's going on screen, there's so much more. Like in Star Wars or something like that. It's like you want to see these characters succeed. Not just Star Wars, any film with a quality protagonist, if they succeed, you feel better. It's not even like you love these people. It's not like a real physical connection. It's like you enjoy this person on screen because they're funny, they're a nice looking actor or actress, and you want them to succeed. So somebody fighting for something in a film is so much more rewarding than just the coolest action sequences in the world. Compare the action sequences in this to the action sequences in something like in Serenity. Okay, you spend 2 hours getting to know these really likable characters, and if you like the TV show, which apparently I missed out on, there's more to it than that. But these characters are dying, they're fighting for this really great cause, and it's like, get you right there!
If Zack Snyder had intended this to be just a fun popcorn flick, he would have cut down the drama, added more humor. It's humorless.
Yeah,
the
it
only
really
laughs
is.
you get are the outrageousness of it.
Yeah.
When you see 75-foot frost samurais
And then-
with Gatling guns and rocket launchers, you laugh because it's outrageous.
And it's amazing, but...
You laugh at the shock value of
And
it.
then it'll go to girls getting threatened to be raped, or beautiful women being shot in the head with some incredibly intense reactions.
The drama just doesn't succeed.
Yeah.
So you don't get that out of it. There's no humor. So what do you try to take it as? You try to take it as a drama with these huge action scenes.
And it doesn't connect.
It doesn't connect.
Something like Inception.
Inception.
The thing about Inception is it's not nearly over the top, but when it is over the top, it's explained. Now, they don't have to necessarily explain, oh, so when she gets hit by the giant samurai, that's obviously an analogy for her psyche taking a blow. No, but there needs to be a connection, or else it's just a mess.
Because they hint at it for the first 10 minutes
Because
of the movie.
they hint at it.
They hint at it. So by the time it comes in the movie, you're trying to link it together.
Makes it almost too confusing.
It makes it confusing because
And it's not.
maybe we're just smarter than the average moviegoer, but I guess we're just thinking that the people who get paid millions and millions of dollars to produce this stuff will think, ahead of time.
Somebody whose job this is to construct this.
Right? Oh my gosh, you kidding me? It's not too much to ask for.
Anyway, I think we've come full circle. I'm gonna give my my final. What does Jerry Springer do? What is his final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I don't watch Jerry Springer.
I don't watch Jerry Springer.
Man.
I don't watch Jerry Springer either. Anyway, I'm gonna give my conclusion. My thing is, I really, contrary to the time we've just spent bashing this movie's brains into the ground, I enjoyed myself a lot, and I will definitely see this movie again, maybe even a third time, and I will definitely get it when it comes out on DVD because it's something I want to be able to watch. I'll just watch the action sequences and skip all the drama and see if I can make sense out of it. But the problem is, Zack Snyder didn't. I don't want to say didn't try hard enough, but he had a good thing going like there because there's no way you can realistically and maturely. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Sophisticatedly.
Maturely was a word. Sophisticatedly was pushing it.
There's no way that you can acceptably. Is that a word?
You have used 3 perfectly fine words, and you've gone back on each one.
There's no acceptable way that you can put these things, the dragons, robots, and Nazis, into one universe and explain it unless it is some sort of video game. So he had a good thing going. The problem was he didn't flesh out his own idea. And it really wouldn't have been that hard. Just connect the symbolism to the story. And I think that would have been really powerful. Something like Up and even Rango uses symbolism to enhance the story. And this had symbols and it had a plot. Now if you connect those things, I think you could have gotten a really good story.
It was a big missed opportunity because when you take a look at what Zack Snyder, whether you believe he did or didn't succeed with Watchmen,
I happen to think
he
he did.
stuck it in the face of the superhero film by putting tons of violence and sex in it, and really made it something that you were never going to forget, okay? Zack Snyder missed the opportunity to stick it in the face of critics by making an overtly over-the-top ridiculous action film,
Because unlike Inception, which is more restrained,
but then taking away any aspect that the critics would enjoy.
yeah.
He made something completely derivative. He made something beautiful. He made something pretty clever. He made something technically, bang!
Are we talking about Sucker Punch or Watchmen?
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
But he didn't do anything to really impress anybody beyond that.
I will say, if a critic hates this movie, to me it's kind of like Nacho Libre,
I'll agree with that as
or
well.
something like Jackass, where you're not getting it. It's not necessarily made for you. But at the same time, it's pretty much just a 2-hour version of the trailer. It's not a bad thing.
I think it's just hard to look at his movies less sophisticated as Watchmen were. I mean, look at even the Fighting Owl movie. You look at the Fighting Owl movie, and that was still a good movie. It's like the guy can direct a film.
It was like a really badass kids movie.
It was a really badass kids movie. I'm Richard. I'm an inspiring film critic from the Chicago area, and I will see you later.
And this is the Extraordinary Rayman signing off. I will see you next time.